Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome, everyone. If you're someone who loves to optimize, learn, and fundamentally improve the way you operate, well, you're in exactly the right place today. In this explainer, we're looking at something truly phenomenal, literally upgrading your brain's hardware. We're going to take direct insights from the latest understandings of cognitive development to show you exactly how you can physically and structurally change your own mind.
So, can you actually rewire your brain for a higher IQ? I mean, for decades, the mainstream assumption was a resounding no way. We were basically told that intelligence was just this fixed genetic lottery, right? Like, you were dealt a hand at birth, and your only job was to play those cards as best as you could. But what if the deck isn't actually fixed? What if you're not just the player, but the dealer? And that brings us to the core scientific disruptor of our era.
The answer lies in neuroplasticity. This is the brain's incredible ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. And the absolutely crucial phrase here is throughout life. It means your brain isn't some rigid, unchanging piece of machinery. It's a dynamic, living ecosystem. Every single time you learn something new, experience something different, or push your cognitive boundaries, your brain is physically remodeling itself. It's the ultimate foundation for everything we're going to talk about today.
Section 1. The upgradable brain. I want you to start thinking of your brain not as a static hard drive, but as an advanced operating system that's constantly waiting for the right software patches to be installed. The source material we're examining today presents a really bold, direct thesis. You can actively rewire your brain for a higher IQ. It tells us that cognitive ability isn't just something you passively possess, it's something you can actively construct. You literally have agency over your intelligence. But how exactly do we trigger this rewiring process? What do these software patches actually look like in our day-to-day lives?
Well, here's our roadmap. The source highlights 3 actionable upgrades you can apply to your cognitive framework. 1. Read difficult material. 2. Learn a hard skill deeply. And 3. Practice metacognition. Let's break down exactly how to implement these.
Section 2. Stretching through difficult reading.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the precise wording from our source material, stretches understanding. This first upgrade is all about introducing intentional friction into your daily routine. Notice it doesn't just say read more, it says read things that are difficult. In our modern world, we're incredibly good at consuming content that goes down easy. Quick articles, easily digestible summaries, things that just confirm what we already know. But to actually trigger neuroplasticity, you have to read material that forces you to slow down, reread sentences, and really grapple with complex concepts. That confusion you feel, that's literally the feeling of your brain stretching.
Think of it exactly like this. It's resistance training for your brain. Look, if you go to the gym and lift 2-pound weights every day, your muscles aren't going to grow. They only grow when you expose them to a load they aren't used to handling. And the exact same biological principle applies to your mind. When you push past your comfortable reading level, whether that's tackling a dense piece of philosophy, a complex scientific paper, or some intricate classic literature, you're providing the resistance necessary to force your neural pathways to adapt, thicken, and become way more efficient.
Section 3. Mastering one hard skill.
This is where we separate the casual dabblers from the true cognitive architects. The instruction here is beautifully specific. Focus on one hard skill. Not 5, not 10, just 1. You need to dive deeply into the mechanics of it and violently avoid shallow learning. We live in a culture that really rewards being a jack of all trades, where it's so tempting to learn, a little bit of coding, a little bit of Spanish, maybe a little bit of guitar. But the source material makes it abundantly clear. Shallow dabbling simply does not trigger the massive neural reorganization we're looking for.
So the crucial point is this simple equation. Depth equals rewiring. When you force yourself to push through those frustrating plateaus of mastering a single difficult skill, like chess, a complex musical instrument, or maybe a new programming language, you are demanding that your brain allocates serious resources to a specific area. You're actually myelinating those neural circuits, making the signals travel faster and much more efficiently. Depth is what signals to your brain, hey, this is important, we need to upgrade the hardware to handle this.
Section 4. The power of metacognition.
If those first 2 upgrades were about installing new applications, well, this is about rewriting the operating system itself. It's the most philosophical, yet profoundly practical tool in this entire explainer. Metacognition is, quite simply, the ability to think about your own thinking. It's stepping outside of yourself and observing your mind at work, almost as if you were an independent third party. Because most of us go through our entire days completely fused with our thoughts, right? We have a thought and we just assume it's the absolute truth.
Metacognition is hitting the pause button and asking, wait, why did I just think that? Is that logic actually sound? Am I just reacting out of pure habit?
And this brilliantly illustrates the difference. Default thinking assumes your initial thoughts are correct. It's fast, it's energy efficient, and it relies heavily on established neural ruts. It's comfortable. Metacognition, however, means you deliberately doubt your own assumptions, disrupting those ruts. By observing and questioning your own thought processes, you actually prevent your brain from running on autopilot. You force it to evaluate multiple pathways instead of just defaulting to the absolute easiest one.
The source material gives a really powerful directive here. Doubt your own assumptions. I mean, this is perhaps the highest level of intellectual maturity you can possibly reach. We so often view doubt as a weakness, but in the context of neuroplasticity, productive self-doubt is literally a superpower. When you doubt an assumption, you force your brain to search for alternative explanations, to gather new data, and to forge entirely new connections. It is the absolute ultimate antidote to cognitive rigidity.
Section 5, Rewiring for the Future. Let's move to and see how this builds to summarize the explainer.
To actively raise your functional intelligence and maximize neuroplasticity, these are your 3 core pillars. 1. Embrace the friction of hard reading to truly stretch your understanding. 2. Abandon that shallow dabbling and commit to the deep, frustrating, yet incredibly rewarding mastery of one hard skill. And 3. Cultivate the habit of metacognition. Actually watch your mind and question its snap judgments. These aren't just neat ideas. They are biological directives you can use to enhance your problem-solving skills today.
So I'm going to leave you with this one final thought. We just talked about how metacognition and doubting your own thoughts is the ultimate tool for cognitive growth. So, what assumption will you doubt today? What deeply held belief or automatic reaction are you going to intentionally pause, observe, and question? Because the very moment you start doing that, you've already begun to rewire your brain. Thank you so much for learning with me today. Keep stretching that mind, and I will see you in the next explainer.